Welcome to the 5 at 5, and I'm going to try and get through this entire video without breaking down in tears because I'm crushed. Yes, I never thought Arsenal would win the league, but when it actually happens, it's a massive, massive blow. So like I did yesterday, for the last time, like this video if your team is top of the league, and then let's break down and cry. Anyway, let's get into my 5 at 5. Number one, and where better to start than perhaps the number one player in the Premier League, Kevin De Bruyne. And Kevin De Bruyne yesterday was given freedom of the park. He absolutely destroyed us. Let's be completely honest about it. But what frustrates me is just how cut through the middle Arsenal were yesterday. Man City didn't really need to do anything too special. They just absolutely went through right the heart of Arsenal, and we played straight into their hands. Now, a big part of that was how Man City decided to beat Arsenal's press. When we would commit people forward, it would just be one ball into Haaland, who dropped a bit deeper, and that kind of caught us by surprise, pulled a defender or two out with him, and then De Bruyne was just given absolute freedom of the park. We saw that very clearly for the first goal, but throughout the entire game, we never quite managed to nip that in the bud. And I was quite disappointed that Mikel Arteta didn't address it and give his midfielders specific instructions to make sure we don't let Kevin De Bruyne spin, get goal side, continue to play between the lines, and play off of Haaland as well as he did. Unfortunately, it was a very simple strategy that worked wonders for Man City, and I'm sure it will be something that other teams will look at and try to replicate. But look, hey, Man City pulled it off with immaculate perfection. Other teams might struggle a bit more, but Arsenal need to adapt a lot more in games when something that obvious is happening to us and nip it in the bud. Number two, tactically outclassed. And not only that, we were outclassed in so many other departments as well. And do you know what? It's important for Arsenal to accept that, look at it, and understand just how far there is to go in our performances. Yes, our performances this season and how this Premier League season has gone seems like we've been a brilliant team, but this shows us the levels. And quite frankly, Man City for a long part of the season just weren't at it. Yesterday and in recent weeks, they've looked like they're one of the best teams on the planet, and which is why they're basically looking like they're going to just stroll to a treble. Obviously, the Champions League is really tough, and they've got an FA Cup final where anything can happen. But right now, who would bet against them? Yesterday, not only did they score 4 goals to our 1, and they tactically outclassed us, but even in the duels, they won more tackles than us. Their passing, there was more passes, more successful passes. They won more ground duels. They won more aerial duels. They had more interceptions. They were just better than us in every single department, not only executing what the manager wants, but also in terms of fighting. Now, I don't know whether that's just because the way, they scored that early goal, it just gave them the wind in the sails, or whether it was just a confidence thing. Arsenal in recent weeks, our confidence has obviously taken a massive hit. Of course, when you're 2-0 up away at Liverpool and at West Ham, and then you're playing bottom of the league Southampton, and you can't make any of those games turn into victories, coming to Man City away is obviously a massive task, and you're hardly going to be confident. And I think that showed. We just now need to dust ourselves off and make sure that we don't have the end to a season that becomes damaging in the long run. Let's make sure we finish this season on a high and then have that break and come back stronger next season, rather than having people asking questions of us and any sort of mental fragility. We need to make sure we end the season well. Number 3, and even though I'm saying, yes, let's end the season well, right now we are confirmed Champions League qualified. Well, in 4th place at the very minimum, which means we might need a qualifying round, but you get the gist. That was the target at the start of the season. We outperformed everyone's expectations. And I'm not saying that's an excuse. Yes, of course, we're still disappointed, but it's nice to know that mathematically it's a done and dusted. We will finish in the top 4, and that cannot be changed. Now, with that, I hope Arsenal don't take their eye off the ball and sort of think, oh, we've got nothing to play for. We've got a lot to play for. We need to put right what we've done wrong in the last 4 games. And on the very, very slight chance that the fixture congestion that Man City are going to face now with Champions League and FA Cup and Premier League games where they've got 2 in hand over us, which means they have to squeeze them into a tighter time frame. If they do drop points, well, who knows? Fingers crossed they do drop points and the title race becomes interesting again. All Arsenal need to do is make sure we're positioned to take advantage if it happens. I'm not trying to get your hopes up, but it's all Arsenal can do at this stage. Number 4, and in this crunch part of the season, I expected some of our senior professionals to really, really guide us through the tough times. But I have to say, Thomas Partey, after being so good, so good all season, has really, really unravelled in recent weeks. Against West Ham, did the stupid little attempted flick over Declan Rice's head, gave the ball away. From that, we can see the penalty. Against Southampton, gave away an unnecessary corner because of overplaying, from which they scored. And now against Man City, he played into Kevin De Bruyne's hands. The amount of time I was shouting at my TV because Partey is chasing De Bruyne's shadow and not preempting the danger, which is something he's done so well all season. I couldn't believe just how bad he was yesterday. And I think we saw that he knew that as well, with how frustrated he got with some of the Man City players, primarily Jack Grealish, and also the fact that he was lucky not to be sent off when he hauled a Man City player to the ground when he was already on a yellow. Really, really not Thomas Partey's finest hour. And he was a player I was really looking forward to seeing in that cauldron at the Etihad, but totally under-delivered and absolutely didn't look like the player that we've seen for the majority of the season. In previous games, I've thought when against Southampton, for example, yes, we didn't have Xhaka alongside him, didn't even have Jorginho, we opted for Vieira. I thought maybe that's part of the reason. But yesterday, he had Xhaka and still looked absolutely awful. Thomas Partey really needs to step up and sort his head out and sort his form out. He's been really, really disappointing in recent weeks. Number 5, I want you guys to let me know in the comments below how you're feeling. Overall, what is the story of the season for you? Is it pride or is it frustration? I'm really, really torn on this. And if anything, I think I'm going to have to lean to frustration. When I look at the Premier League season, for me, it's one of pride. I think we've done really, really well. Because I never expected us to win the league, I'm not surprised right now. I'm not crestfallen because I thought this is how it would play out. But for me, it's overall frustration because of the fact that, could we have done more in some of the cup competitions, especially the Europa League? We never should have got knocked out to Sporting. You imagine right now, it seems like the Premier League dream has been taken away from us. If we still had a Europa League trophy to fight for, that would be almost the saviour of our season. For me, we've had a long absence from the Champions League, and obviously now we're going to be back in there, but our record in the Europa League has been awful. How have we not won it with so many attempts? For me, that's just diabolical. And this season should have been the season in which we won that. But hey, that's the reason why I'm leaning to frustration. But let me know in the comments below. Is it pride or is it frustration for you? Thank you very much for watching the 5 at 5. Continue to back the boys for the rest of the season. It's all we can do. And we have to accept that they have made a good fist of it. I'd rather be in a position where we're disappointed for not winning the title than disappointed for finishing outside of the top 4. Next season, we need to take it one level further and make sure that we're delivering trophies. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you next game. Take care.